a young lady came up to me and was like, "You must be desperate for some money." I said, "Why?" He said, "Is it to be fighting Mike Tyson?"
Tyson knows he has him in trouble. Down he goes.
He's in the hurt business. There wasn't no pretensions about him. It wasn't no ostentations. He was there to hurt you.
He's gone. It's over. First round.
He sold menace. That's what he sold. He had a sense of menace about him.
He will not get up. It's over.
Mike Tyson was the baddest man on the planet. He scared everybody.
Who in this world has any chance against this man?
In 1988, at the age of 21, Mike Tyson unified the World Heavyweight Championship by knocking out previously undefeated Michael Spinks in 91 seconds.
It's all over! Mike Tyson has won it!
In 1989, he defended the championship against Frank Bruno.
Michael Tyson wins TKO!
And against Carl Williams. That win, in 93 seconds, made Tyson 37-0 with 33 knockouts. When 29-year-old James Buster Douglas of Columbus, Ohio was announced as his next opponent, most people said, "Who?" Those who knew of Douglas were less kind.
He was called, in some quarters, a hot dog fighter because every time he fought, people would go out to get a hot dog.
He was an all-around good boxer. So what had been the problem? Heart. You know what I mean? You got to have heart.
In his one previous title shot in 1987, Douglas had faded and been knocked out in the 10th round. He then won 6 straight fights as he tried to position himself for another shot at the title. It took more than 2 years. Finally, when Don King needed an opponent to fight Mike Tyson in February 1990 in Tokyo, an opponent, nothing more, he called Douglas's manager, John Johnson.
Johnny says, "You're not going to believe this. We're going to fight Mike Tyson." You got to be crazy.
As Douglas was preparing himself physically, mentally, and emotionally to fight Tyson, his personal life was unraveling. His wife had left him. The mother of his 11-year-old son was diagnosed with leukemia. He was broke. Then, just 23 days before the fight, Douglas's mother, Lula Pearl, died from a heart attack at the age of 47.
I talked to her every day. She was best friend. Yeah. There's a lot going on. The fight was the last thing worried about.
When Tyson arrived in Japan, he didn't seem too worried either.
Hello, Mike.
Hey. After all, an upset was all but inconceivable. The only sportsbook in Las Vegas that would make odds installed Douglas as a 42-1 underdog. But Douglas was a different fighter than the one who'd blown his shot at the title in 1987. Inspired by his mother and determined to prove himself, for once he trained as if he truly cared.
He's one of those still water runs deep people. He's hard to anger, and he's such a nice person. He's like a teddy bear, but you know, you jump on a teddy bear, they kick your ass.
When we read the papers the day after the fight, what's the headline? What's the story?
That's going to be the new heavyweight champion of the world, James Buster Douglas. I take it knockout, decision, but it's going to be the new heavyweight champion.
Stage is set. We're set to go. Buster is not backing up. He's here to fight.
6 inches taller than Tyson, Douglas took full advantage of his superior height and reach. Crucially, he refused to be intimidated.
A lot of confidence in the corner of Buster Douglas.
All Tyson is a bully. And the way you beat a bully is bully a bully.
Oh, big right hand landed that time.
I think in the end of the 6th round, I make the statement, I said, this guy's scared to death, you know. I mean, I could sense, I could see it in Mike. It's like, he was like, what is going on?
You know, I have to tell you, Buster was magnificent. He was like a virtuoso being played on a Stradivarius violin.
But at the end of the 8th round, the virtuoso paused for a moment to admire his own performance.
Oh, that's a nice uppercut that time. That drops Buster Douglas.
I knew it was a good shot because I felt it like, oh man, that was pretty good. And then when I went to take a step back, that's when it was like, oh, I knew it was real good. And I was trying to, stand up, and that's when I was going back. And then I just hit the ground, but I was still coherent.
And 3. 3 and 4.
A controversy would later ensue about the length of the referee's count, but it was clear that Douglas was merely taking all the time he was allowed to stand up.
And the bell ends the 8th round. What a round for Mike Tyson.
The first thing I said to him when he came back to the corner, and I said it very loud, is, he's going to come like hell, you understand? He's going to come like hell.
Mike wants to end this. He's had enough of Buster Douglas for one night in Tokyo.
But Douglas withstood it all. Then it was his turn.
Look at this! Look at Buster coming back! Did he fight for the legs of Mike? I don't know, he got him again! Buster fights back strongly, landing some big shots! And now he can't get careless. Look at this! Who would ever have expected this?
By the 10th round, Douglas was poised to pull off an unparalleled upset.
He was leaning the way he could, lean to the left, which is coming to my right. Caught him at the right time when he linked over. Caught him with the uppercut.
Oh, nice uppercut by Buster Douglas! Look at this! He's knocked Mike Tyson down for the first time in his career! Mike Tyson hits the canvas! He's in big trouble!
I thought he was going to get up, but when I seen him reaching for that mouthpiece, I knew he was hurt then. I knew that it was over.
And he's not going to make it! Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Buster Douglas is the new heavyweight champion of the world! This has got to be, if not the, one of the biggest upsets in the history of boxing!
The new heavyweight champion of the world, James Buster Douglas!
Years and years of dreaming, looking at boxing magazines, looking at the champions, past champions with their belts. How would that be? What would that be like, And then actually fulfill that was just the greatest moment, man. One of the greatest moments of my life.
He knew it was slipping away. You could see fear in his eyes by the end.
I just seen it. I was just whipping that. I was whipping that.
Soon, Douglas would sign to fight Evander Holyfield for more than $20 million. At the time, the biggest payday ever in sports. But by the time he fought Holyfield, 8 months after knocking out Tyson, he was out of shape and unmotivated. When Holyfield knocked him down in the 3rd round, he stayed down.
It was terrible. I could never think that would ever happen. That was the last thing you would think about after winning the title, that, it would go away so easily. And it was just tragic, man. Sometimes I think about it, it really pisses me off, but what you gonna do? Let's move on.
Douglas retired immediately after the Holyfield fight and ballooned to more than 400 pounds. A brief comeback later in the decade fizzled.
We should have rewrote the books. Those books should all be leaning toward a guy named Buster Douglas. We could have changed history. But he just wasn't willing to listen. He was satisfied.
At the age of 49, Douglas is back home in Columbus, where he has real estate holdings, including a plot he's trying to develop into medium-income condos.
Gonna have 7,000 square feet of retail space here, 40 condominiums in the back between 1 and 2, 3 bedrooms, and this is my dream.
Douglas seems comfortable, but now, all these years later, unsatisfied. He tries to focus on what he achieved rather than what he squandered. But it's not always easy.
We had it, man. We had it, but just couldn't hold on to it. Couldn't keep it together. Yeah, we prepared for the fight, but weren't prepared for the aftermath.